Welcome to the beautiful country Belgium. This is grand place. What an amazing architecture, cute kids and a very energetic atmosphere here in Belgium. The grand place is worth watching.
Moi, c'était une ville générale.
चलो ग्रीन है चलो ग्रीन है ग्रीन है Belgium, officially the Kingdom of Belgium, is a country in Western Europe. It has a population of more than 11.5 million, which is around 1 crore, making it the second most densely populated country in the world and the sixth most densely populated country in the Europe. I am saying densely populated and not just populated. Please note that, guys. The capital and the largest city in Belgium is Brussels. Right now I am in Brussels. Legally, Belgium is a sovereign state and a federal constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary system. Belgium is home to two main linguistic groups or communities: the Dutch speaking Flemish community, which constitutes about 60% of the population, and the French speaking community, which comprises about 40% of all Belgians. A small German speaking community numbering around 1% also exists in Belgium. Belgium is a developed country with an advanced high income economy. It has very high standards of living, quality of life, healthcare, education, and is categorized as very high in the Human Development Index. It also ranks as one of the safest or most peaceful countries in the world. Belgium is strongly globalized economy and its transport infrastructure are integrated with the rest of Europe. Its location at the heart of a highly industrialized the economy is characterized by a highly productive workforce, high GNP, and high exports per capita. Belgium's main imports are raw materials, machinery and equipment, chemicals, raw diamonds, pharmaceuticals, foodstuffs, transport equipment, and oil products. Its main exports are machinery and equipment, chemicals, finished diamonds, metals and metal products, and foodstuffs. The Belgian economy is heavily service oriented and shows a dual nature, a dynamic Flemish economy and a Walloon economy that lags behind. One of the founding members of the European Union, Belgium strongly supports an open economy and the extension of the powers of EU institutions to integrate member economies. There is a large economic gap between Flanders and Wallonia. Wallonia was historically wealthy compared to Flanders, mostly due to its heavy industries. But the decline of the steel industry post World War II led to the region's rapid decline, whereas Flanders rose swiftly. Since then, Flanders has been prosperous and among the world's wealthiest regions, whereas Wallonia has been languishing. As of 2007, the unemployment rate of Wallonia is over double that of Flanders. The divide has played a key part in the tensions between the Flemish and Wallons, in addition to the already existing language divide. Pro independence movements have gained high popularity in Flanders as a consequence. The separatist New Flemish Alliance NVA party, for instance, is the largest party in Belgium. Belgium has three official languages: Dutch, French, and German. A number of non official minority languages are spoken as well. As no consensus exists, there are no official statistical data regarding the distribution of usage of Belgium's three official languages or their dialects. However, various criteria, including the language of parents of education or the second language status of foreign born, may provide suggested figures. An estimated 60% of the Belgian population are native speakers of Dutch, often referred to as Flemish, and 40% of the population speaks French natively. French speaking Belgians are often referred to as Walloons, although the French speakers in Brussels are not Walloons. The total number of native Dutch speakers is estimated to be about 6.23 million, concentrated in the northern Flanders region, while native French speakers number 3.32 million in Wallonia and an estimated 870,000 or 85% in the officially bilingual Brussels capital region. The German speaking community is made up of 73,000 people in the east of Walloon region. Around 10,000 German and 60,000 Belgian nationals are speakers of German. Roughly 23,000 more German speakers live in municipalities near the official community. Both Belgian Dutch and Belgian French have minor differences in vocabulary and semantic nuances from the varieties spoken respectively in the Netherlands and France. Many Flemish people still speak dialects of Dutch in their local environment. Walloon, considered either as a dialect of French or distinct Romance language, is now only understood and spoken occasionally, mostly by elderly people. Walloon is divided into four dialects, which, along with those of Picard, are rarely used in public life and have largely been replaced by French. The Belgians enjoy good health. According to 2012 estimates, the average life expectancy is 79.65 years, which is very high. Since 1960, life expectancy has, in line with European average, grown by 2 months per year. Death in Belgium is mainly caused due to heart and vascular disorders and unnatural causes of deaths and disorders of respiratory system. Non-natural causes of death and cancer are the most common causes of death for females up to 24 to 44. Healthcare in Belgium is financed through both security contributions and taxation. Health insurance is compulsory. Healthcare is delivered by a mixed public and private system of independent medical practitioners and public university and semi-private hospitals. Healthcare services are payable by the patient and reimbursed later by health insurance institutions. But for ineligible categories of patients and services, so called third party payment systems exist. The Belgian healthcare system is supervised and financed by the federal government. The Flemish and Walloon regional governments and the German community also has indirect oversight and responsibilities. For the first time in Belgian history, the first child was euthanized below the 2-year mark of the removal of the euthanization age restrictions. The child has been euthanized due to an incurable disease that was inflicted upon the child. Although there may have been some support of the euthanization, there is possibility of controversy due to the issue revolving around the subject of assisted suicide. Excluding assisted suicide, Belgium has the highest suicide rate in Western Europe and one of the highest suicide rates in the developed world, exceeded only by Lithuania, South Korea, and Latvia. What a nice building and what a beautiful path. The road is so clean and the buildings are very organized. I like the roads in Belgium. This looks like a very old building. Agora. I don't know what that means, but this is a very classical building. The crowd at Grand Place is massive. This is a very popular site. You can see people from different countries visiting the Grand Place, and I just love that top structure that is on the top of the building. It looks very beautiful. I'm really surprised. And this is Hotel Amigo. This is a very fine hotel from the outside. I see different flags. Don't know how they are. And this was a very nice hotel. You can see a nice decoration. the balloons and stuff. Belgium is a very lively country. The people are very excited at the grand place. Such a beautiful background, such a beautiful statue. What a beautiful flower. You can see that there is a small kid in the statue. It is not clearly visible, but people are liking that. I think that little boy and the famous food in Belgium is waffles, but here I'm enjoying eating donuts. They were very tasty, chocolatey donuts. I loved it, and here I'm having the waffles. The waffles in Belgium are very famous across the world. It is a must eat if you are coming to Belgium. I love the chocolate. It's simply amazing. I'm not sure what else they add in waffles, but it is a really sweet dish. I'm loving it. I'm just flaunting my waffles on the streets of Belgium. I enjoyed it. Yummy. And you can see that people are actually enjoying shopping in this street. You find good variety of items you can take home as a memory. I would love to buy small items so that I remember my trip. I do not prefer buying expensive items. I rather spend money on traveling rather than purchasing items. So I generally prefer any gift items of low budget. And this is the statue. You see that a little kid is actually peeing and water is coming out, and it's looking like a fountain. It is funny and beautiful at the same time. You can see that the little kid is peeing, but it's the pose of the statue is like that, but that is water coming out of that statue. So people are actually loving that statue. That's a really unique statue. You generally do not find such statues across the world. I would definitely want to know the history, like why this was created. Was it just for fun, or was it for attracting crowds? And you can see that the same statue, the same style is replicated here. I enjoyed eating waffles here. That kid is very naughty. He is doing naughty stuff and enjoying the waffles. Amazing stuff. I am loving this moment. I'm living this moment. What a beautiful sight. And here we are back at the grand place. I just love the view, the amazing statues which have been built on the top of the roofs. They are very attractive. I wonder what the statue means, what the meaning is behind that structure. If you guys know, please comment. I'm very curious to know. And you can see the scenery, it's very amazing. People from different races, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different nations come here at the grand place to enjoy this beautiful kingdom. What an amazing sight. You can see that there are many small shops selling flowers. There are some beautiful flowers which you can buy here, and this is a very interesting site. I actually did not want to leave this place. I loved it so much, but in life you can't stay at just one place, you have to keep moving. But this will always be remembered by me. This was a really amazing experience. Such an amazing architecture, amazing buildings, unbelievable. And these were constructed hundreds of years ago. Can you believe that? It's really marvelous. I'm actually enjoying this. Grand Place simply rocks. Grand Place is also known as Groot Market, which means Grand Market. It is the central square of Brussels, Belgium. It is surrounded by opulent guild halls and two large edifices, the city's town hall and the king's house, building containing the Brussels City Museum. The square measures 68 by 110 meters, 220 by 361 feet. That is massive. The Grand Place is the most important tourist destination and most memorable landmark in Brussels. It is also considered one of the most beautiful squares in Europe and has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1998. In the 10th century, Charles, Duke of Lower Lorraine, constructed a fort on Saint Gary Island, the furthest island point at which the Seine River was still navigable. This was the seed of what would become Brussels. By the end of the 11th century, an open air marketplace was set up on a dried up marsh near the fort that was surrounded by sandbanks. The market was called Nedermarkt, meaning lower market in Old Dutch. The market likely developed around the same time as Brussels' commercial development. A document from 1174 mentions a lower market not far from the port on the Seine River. The market was well situated along the causeway, an important commercial road which connected the prosperous regions of the Rhineland and the county of Flanders. At the beginning of 13th century, three indoor markets were built on the northern edge of the Grand Place: a meat market, a bread market, and a cloth market. These buildings, which belonged to the Duke of Brabant, allowed the wares to be showcased even in bad weather, but also allowed the dukes to keep track of the storage and sale of goods in order to collect taxes. Other buildings made of wood or stone enclosed the Grand Place. A rise in importance. Improvements to the Grand Place from the 14th century onwards would mark the rise in importance of local merchants and tradesmen relative to the nobility. As he was short on money, the Duke transferred control of mills and commerce to the local authorities. The city of Brussels ordered the construction of a large indoor cloth market similar to those of the neighboring cities of Mechelen and Leuven to the south of the square. At this point, the Grand Place was still haphazardly laid out, and the buildings along the edges had a motley tangle of gardens and irregular additions. The city expropriated and demolished a number of buildings that clogged the square and formally defined its edges. Brussels Town Hall was built on the south side of the Grand Place in stages between 401 and 1401 and 1455 and made it the seat of municipal power. Its spire towers 96 meters high and is capped by a 4-meter statue of Saint Michael slaying a demon or devil. To counter this symbol of municipal power from 1504 to 1536, the Duke of Brabant ordered a large building to be constructed across the town hall as a symbol of ducal power. It was erected on the site of the first cloth and bread markets, which were no longer in use, and it became known as the King's House. Although no king has ever lived there, it is currently known as Maison du Roi, King's House in French, but in Dutch it continues to be called the Broedhuis, after the market whose place it took. Over the time, wealthy merchants and the increasingly powerful guilds of Brussels built houses around the square. The Grand Place witnessed many tragic events unfold during its history in 1523. The first Protestant martyrs, Henry Vaux and Jean van Eschen, were burnt by the Inquisition on the square. 40 years later, the Counts of Egmont and Horn, who had spoken out against the policies of King Philip in the Spanish Netherlands, were beheaded in front of the bread house. This triggered the beginning of the armed revolt against the Spanish rule, of which William of Orange took the lead. On 13th August 1695, a 70,000 strong French army under Marshal Francois began a bombardment of Brussels in an effort to draw the League of Augsburg's forces away from the siege on French held Namur in what is now southern Belgium. The French launched a massive bombardment of the mostly defenseless city center with cannons and mortars, setting it on fire and flattening the majority of the Grand Place and the surrounding city. Only the stone shell of the town hall had a few fragments of other buildings remained standing. That the town hall survived all is ironic, as it was the principal target of the artillery fire. The Grand Place was rebuilt in the following 4 years by the city's guilds. Their efforts were regulated by the city councillors and the governor of Brussels, who required that their plans be submitted to the authorities for approval. This helped to deliver a remarkably harmonious layout for the rebuilt square despite the ostensibly clashing combination of Gothic, Baroque, and Louis XIV styles. During the following 2 centuries, the Grand Place underwent significant damage. In the late 18th century, Brabant revolutionaries sacked it, destroying statues of nobility and symbols of Christianity. The guild halls were seized by the state and sold. The buildings were neglected and left in poor condition, with their facades painted, stuccoed, and damaged by pollution. By the late 19th century, a sensitive arose about the heritage value of the buildings. The turning point was the demolition of the L'Etoile Guild House in 1852 under the impulse of then Mayor Charles Bulls. Brussels authorities had the Grand Place returned to its former splendor, with buildings restored or reconstructed. In 1856, a monumental fountain commemorating the 25th anniversary of the reign of King Leopold I was installed in the center of the square. It was replaced in 1860 by a fountain surmounted by the statues of the Count of Egmont and Horn, which was erected in front of the king's house and later moved to the small Sablon. 30 years later, during the Belle Epoque, a bandstand was raised in its place. In 1885, the Belgian Labour Party, the first socialist party in Belgium, was founded during a meeting at Grand Place. 20th and 21st centuries, at the start of World War I, as the refugees flooded Brussels, the Grand Place was filled with military and civilian casualties. The town hall served as a makeshift hospital. On 20th August 1914 at 2 p.m., the occupying German army arrived at the Grand Place and set up field kitchens. The occupiers hoisted a German flag at the left side of the town hall. The Grand Place continued to serve as a market until 19th November 1959 and is still called the Groot Market, Grand Market in Dutch. Neighboring streets still reflect the area's origins, named after the sellers of butter, cheese, herring, coal, and so on. In 1979, the Grand Place was bombed. In 1990, the square was pedestrianized and is currently part of a large pedestrian zone in the center of Brussels. The Grand Place was named by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1998. The place is now primarily an important tourist attraction. A number of guild houses have been converted into shops, terrace restaurants, and brasseries. Notable institutions include Godiva Collator and the Maison d'Andoy Speculoos Confectionery. One of the houses owned by Brewers Guild is home to a Brewers Museum. The Grand Place was voted the most beautiful square in Europe in 2010. A survey by a Dutch website asked its users to rate different squares across Europe. Moscow's Red Square and the place Stanislas in Nancy, France took second and third place. The town hall is the central office on the Grand Place. It was built in several stages between 1401 and 1455 and is also the square's only remaining medieval building. The architect and design is probably Jean Bourneau, with whom Jacob van Thienen collaborated. The young duke laid the first stone of the west wing in 1444. The architect of this part of the building is unknown. Historians think that it could be William, who was the architect of the city of Brussels in 1452 and who was also at that time the designer of Aula Magna at the Palace of Codenburg. The 96-meter high, which is 315 feet, tower in Brabantine Gothic style is the work of the architect Jan van Rysbroek, and its summit stands a 5-meter tall, 16 feet gilt metal statue of Saint Michael, the patron saint of Brussels, slaying a dragon or demon. The town hall is asymmetrical since the tower is not exactly in the middle of the building and the left part and the right part are not identical. According to a legend, the architect of the building, upon discovering this error, leapt to his death from the tower. More likely, the asymmetry of the town hall was an accepted consequence and of the scattered construction history and space constraints. King's House. As early as the 12th century, the King's House was a wooden building where bread was sold, hence the name it kept in Dutch, Broodies, which means bread house or bread hall. The original building was replaced in the 15th century by a stone building which housed the administrative services of the Duke of Brabant, which is why it was called the Duke's House. And when the same Duke became King of Spain, it was renamed the King's House. In the 16th century, Holy Roman Emperor Charles V ordered to rebuild it in a late Gothic style, very similar to contemporary design, although without towers or galleries. Because of the damage suffered over time, especially during the bombardment of 1695, the city had the King's House rebuilt in 1873 by architect Victor Jemer in the Gothic Revival style. The current building, whose interior was renovated in 1985, has housed the Brussels City Museum since 1887. Houses of the Grand Place. The Grand Place is lined on each side with a number of guild houses and a few private houses. In their current form, they are largely the result of the reconstruction after the bombardment of 1695. The strongly structured facades within their rich sculptural decoration, including pilasters and balustrades, and their lavishingly designed gables are based on Italian Baroque with some Flemish influences. The King of Spain of the Corporation of Beggars, built in 1696. Originally, the three bays to the right of the entrance formed an independent house accessible through a door located on Rue Ebero. The very dilapidated building was completely rebuilt in 1901. It is decorated with busts of Saint Aubert and Charles II of Spain. So there are total 8, 9, 10, the second and third series of the BBC television series Secret Army were filmed there in 1978 and 1979, specifically around the building that is now Maxim's restaurant. Although Brussels may have the reputation of being the capital of the European Union, spending a few days in the city are enough to prove that there is much more to do and see than just the EU. One of the most popular areas of Brussels, however, is the Grand Place at the heart of the city centre. Here are some of the tips to ensure you get the most out of the cultural hotspot. Known as the most populated square in Brussels, the Grand Place receives tens of thousands of tourists each year and is one of Belgium's most important landmarks. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Grand Place hosts annual festivals, light and sound shows, especially during the winter holidays period for the Winter Wonders Festival, and twice a year tourists have the chance to see the colorful carpet. It's actually a flower carpet. Generally, every street starting from the Grand Place leads the visitor to a smaller square. The downtown squares are usually great locations to discover various street artists, whether it's performance art, painting, or graffiti. Walking around the city center with your eyes peeled is the best way to get the most out of Brussels' art scene. Brussels offers a wide array of book and music stores with plenty of opportunities to enjoy a good novel or listen to old fashioned classics on vinyl. Some local shops also carry antiques where you can discover little treasures, whether you are looking for a collection of Belgian or international literature, vinyl records, DVDs, comic books, collectibles. Bouquinaire Evasions is the place to go. They say the best way to discover a city is by walking, which is also true for Brussels. This is why a group of young enthusiasts, Viva Brussels, have set up the authentic free walking city tour of Brussels. What is truly great about this particular tour is that it operates on a pay as you want basis, and parts of the profits go to servicing social projects in the city. The tours take place every day from Monday to Saturday at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. and are conducted in either English or Spanish. There are many panoramic views of Brussels, but one of them comes with a twist. In Place Pollard, in front of the Justice Palace, this panoramic view is accompanied by the elevator to the sky experience. For those not afraid of heights or see-through walls, the elevator is open every day until 11:30 p.m. and allow the viewer to observe some of the Brussels' most popular tourist points. Also called as Stomach of Brussels, Rue des Boches is home to several local and international restaurants. Even if some don't find this street particularly tempting, it is definitely worth passing by and trying your luck and tasting the famous Mole's fries on an authentic Italian pizza. Otherwise, you can get the full Belgian traditional experience at the Ox Arms de Bruxelles restaurant. For those who prefer the traditional waffles or frites, the city is filled with a variety of places to choose from where you can never go wrong. Brussels Museum. If you are more of an indoor explorer, don't forget to stop by one of most Brussels museums or art collections. Stad Museum, the Museum of Chocolate, or the Music Museum are all conveniently located near this area. Housing a We're talking about the houses of grand places. The number one is the House of the Corporation of Bakers, built in 1696. Originally, the three bays to the right of the entrance formed an independent house, accessible through a door located on Rue A. Bureau Botterstadt. My pronunciation may be wrong. The very dilapidated building was completely rebuilt in 1901 to 1902. It is decorated with busts of Saint Aubert and Charles II of Spain. Building number 2 to 3, La Broche, houses of the Corporation of Greasers since the 15th century, built in stone in 1644. The facade partly resisted the bombardment of 1695 and was rebuilt in 1697 under the direction of Jane Cousin, decorated with a statue of Saint Giles. It was restored in 1912. The left door opened into a now disappeared alleyway that led on to Rue Aubert. Building number 4, Lesac, house of the Corporation of Carpenters, whose tools decorate the facade since the 15th century. Built in stone in 1644, partly spared by the bombardment, it was rebuilt from the third floor up by the carpenter Antoni Pastorona in 1697. The sculptures from this rebuilding are the work of Peter van de Woo at Laurent Mercaret. This house was restored in 1912 by the architect Jean Chagers. Nowadays, a Starbucks coffee shop is located on the ground floor of this building. Number 5, Lalo, House of the Oath of Athos, built in 1690 by Pierre Herbosch. In 1696, the facade was rebuilt with a horizontal cornice surmounted by a base where a statue was placed of a phoenix rising from the ashes. symbol of reconstruction of the city after the bombardment. The decorated pediment of Apollo was restored in 1890 to 1892 by the architect of the city of Brussels, Victor Gemmer, according to the original drawings. The bas relief represents Romulus and Remus sucking the she-wolf. Building number 6, Le Cornet, the house of the Corporation of Boatmen since the 15th century, rebuilt in 1697 by Antoni Pastorana, who drew its gable in the shape of a ship's stern. The sculptures are by Peter van de Voort and by a contract passed on 3rd April 1697. The Deans of the Trade of Boatmen entrusted Peter van der Voort with the execution of the whole sculpting of the facade. The building was restored from 1899 to 1902. Building number 7, Le Renard, the house of the Corporation of Haberdashers since the 15th century, rebuilt in 1699. It contains bas reliefs among the ground floor, allegorical sculptures of the four continents, and at the top a now disappeared statue of Saint Nicholas, patron of haberdashers. Building number 8, Le Toile, House of a Man, rebuilt in 1695. It was demolished in 1852 with the whole side of the street which corner it occupies and which was then called Rue de Etoile to allow the passage of a horse-drawn tramway, rebuilt in 1897 at the initiative of then Mayor of Brussels Charles Bulls by replacing the ground floor with a colonnade. It became an annex to the neighboring house. The street was renamed Rue Charles Bulls in honor of the mayor, and plaque is affixed under the house, next to the monument to Evert de Cercles in tribute to him, as well as to the builders of the Grand Place. My pronunciations may be wrong because I am not well aware of Dutch and French languages. Please ignore my pronunciation. Building number 9, Les Signes, the Burgoy's house, rebuilt in 1698 by financier Pierre Farizo, whose monogram is placed in the center of the facade. It was bought in 1720 by the Corporation of Butchers, who modified the upper part, restored between 1896 and 1904. The founding Congress of the Belgian Workers' Party was held there in April 1885. It is also in this house that Karl Marx wrote the manifesto of the Communist Party. Building number 10, Labrador, the house of the Corporation of Brewers. It is dated 1696 and was restored in 1901. During the construction of this house, the architect Guillaume de Bruyne pronounced the famous sentence, "You had the conscience to work for eternity." This house is adorned with sculptures by Marc Devaux and Peter van de Vaux and is capped by an equestrian statue of Charles Alexander of Lorraine, which was installed in 1752 to replace another of Maximilian II Emmanuel of Bavaria, governor during the reconstruction of Brussels. Building number 11, La Rose, the private house, rebuilt in 1702 and restored in 1901. Building number 12, the Le Mont Thabot, the Mount Thabot, private house, rebuilt in 1699 and restored in 1885. There are around 39 such amazing buildings at the Grand Place. It was such a wonderful experience at the Grand Place. Belgium is worth visiting. I really spent a very good time here. The roads are organized, the museum is good, the people are so friendly, the food is so unique, the waffles and everything. I liked everything about Brussels in Belgium. So we are out of Grand Place now. You can see the restaurants are kind of similar to how the Grand Place looks. The architecture is very very special and it has got a lot of history behind it, lot of tragedies, lot of good things, part and part, where which there is something new you can learn from every country. That is why I always encourage people to travel. But now, because this corona, this would not be the right time. So you guys sit back and relax and enjoy the journey by watching my videos. Please subscribe, like, comment to my YouTube channel, and I request you to please support me in my upcoming videos. It took me a lot of effort to film this video and get the information regarding Belgium, the great city. So please do support me, guys. You can see this is an amazing Brussels Central Gallery Central. This was again an amazing experience to have visited it there. It is really a memorable experience. Traveling makes me very humble. It makes me realize that I occupy a very small place in this world, and it's a very big world, and it's lot of things to explore, lot of things to see. My two eyes are not enough, I feel sometimes, when I see at these amazing buildings, amazing structures across the world. Now, as I'm in Belgium, I would be talking much about Belgium alone. So, currently, this is my dream come true. I've finally been to Belgium. With a great history, Belgium also has a great developmental story. I also feel it will have a great future. You can clearly see how developed the structures are, how organized the people are here. So it is really very life changing for me. I'm actually learning a lot by watching this amazing country. It is a different experience for me. People who are in Belgium may not understand this, but it's really special for me. This is the amazing Atomium. Atomium is a landmark building in Brussels, Belgium, originally constructed for the 1958 Brussels World Fair Expo 58. It is located on the Hazel Plateau where the exhibition took place. It is now a museum. This is the frontal view of the museum. Designed by the engineer André Waterkane and architects André and Jane Pollock, it stands 102 meters, which is 335 feet tall. Its 918 diameter stainless steel clad spheres are connected so that the whole forms the shape of a unit cell of an alpha iron crystal, magnified 165 billion times. Tubes of 3 diameter connect the spheres along the edges of the cube and all 8 vertices to the center. They enclose stairs, escalators, and an elevator in the central vertical tube to allow access to the 5 habitable spheres which contain exhibit halls and other public spaces. The top sphere includes a restaurant which has a panoramic view of Brussels. The Atomium was built as the main pavilion and icon of the 1958 World Expo of Brussels. In the 1950s, faith in scientific progress was great, and a structure depicting atoms was chosen to embody this. The Atomium depicts 9 iron atoms in the shape of the body-centered cubic unit cell of an iron crystal, magnified 165 billion times. The construction of the Atomium was a technical feat. Of the 9 spheres, 6 are accessible to the public, each with 2 main floors and a lower floor reserved for service. The central tube contains the fastest elevator of the time at 5 meters per second, installed by the Belgian branch of the Swiss firm Schindler and subsequently taken over by Schindler. It allows 22 people to reach the summit in 23 seconds. The escalators installed in the oblique tubes are among the largest in Europe. The biggest is 35 meters and 100 feet long. 3 of the 4 top spheres lack vertical support and hence are not open to the public for safety reasons.
Although the sphere at the pinnacle is open to public, the original design called for no supports. The structure was simply to rest on the spears. Wind tunnel tests proved that the structure would have toppled in an 80 km/h wind. Winds have been recorded in Belgium. Support columns were added to achieve enough resistance against overturning. The Atomium is designed to last 6 months, was not destined to survive the 1958 World Expo, but its popularity and success made it a major element of the Brussels landscape. Its destruction was therefore postponed year after year until the city authorities decided to keep it. However, for 30 years, little maintenance work was done. By the turn of the millennium, the state of the building had deteriorated and a comprehensive renovation was sorely needed. Renovation of the Atomium began in March 2004. It was closed to the public in October and remained closed until 18 February 2006. The renovation included replacing the faded aluminium sheets on the spears with stainless steel. On 21 December 2005, the new Atomium outdoor lighting was tested. The meridians of each spear were covered with rectangular steel plates in which LED lighting was integrated. The LED application illuminates the bulbs at night. The lights can also flash simultaneously or in turns at each meridian, symbolizing the range of an electron around its core. In addition, the German industrial designer Ingo Mohr created lighting objects and installations for the interior of the building. On 14 Feb 2006, the Atomium was officially reopened by then Prince Philip, and on 18th Feb 2006, it opened again to the public. The renovation cost 26 million Brussels, and Atomium Association paid one-third of the costs. The Belgian government financed two-thirds. To help pay for the renovation, pieces of the old aluminium plates were sold to the public as souvenirs. One triangular piece about 2 meters long sold for 1000 euros. On the occasion of the reopening, a 2 euro commemorative coin depicting the building was issued in March 2006 to celebrate the renovation. Though the Atomium depicts an iron unit cell, the walls were originally clad with aluminium. Following 2004 to 2006 renovation, however, the aluminium was replaced with stainless steel, which is primarily iron. Likewise, while the subject of Atomium was chosen to depict the enthusiasm of the atomic age, iron is not and cannot be used as fuel in nuclear reactions. Interior: one of the six spheres accessible to the public. The bottom sphere is reserved for permanent exhibition dedicated to the 1950s and the construction of the Atomium. The second sphere hosts temporary exhibition. The third and central spheres have a versatile vacation and allow the organization of various events, films, concerts, parties, or conferences. The top sphere, in addition to the panorama, holds a restaurant. The sixth sphere is the kids sphere, intended for the organization of workshops of urban pedagogy, allowing children from 6 to 12 years to spend the night there. SABEM, Belgium Society for Collecting Copyrights, has claimed worldwide intellectual property rights on all reproduction of the image via United States Artists' Rights Association Society ARS. For example, SABEM issued a demand that a US website removed all the images of Atomium from its pages. The website responded by replacing all such images with a warning not to take photographs of the Atomium and that ASBL Atomium will sue if you show them to anyone. SABEM confirmed that permission is required. A photograph of the Atomium censored due to lack of freedom of panorama rights at the time. Ralph Zigerman remarked on the complicated copyright instructions on the Atomium's website specific to private pictures. The organizers of Belgian Heritage Anno Expo in the city of Migrant announced a cultural guerrilla strike by asking people to send in their old photographs of the Atomium and requested 100 photoshoppers to paint over the balls. Sebum responded that they would make an exception for 2008 and that people could publish private photographs for 1 year only on condition that they were for non commercial purposes. Anno Expo later announced that they had censored part of their own report due to complications and referred to a meeting they had with Sabam. Michelin's mayor Bart Semos called the Atomium copyright rules absurd. From the Atomium's website, the current copyright sections exempt private individuals under the following condition. This is the case where photographs are taken by private individuals and shown on private websites for no commercial purpose for the current trend for photo albums. In accordance with legislation, the usage rights for the image of Atomium would naturally extend to 1st January 2076. In other words, the 70th anniversary of Andrei Vorokhin's death. In the summer of 2015, Belgian political party proposed a bill to enable freedom of panorama in Belgium. The bill was enacted into law in June 2016, allowing pictures of the Atomium and other public buildings under copyright to be legally distributed. So here I am taking the pics of Atomium and enjoying the great view. What a great history this place has, and what a great symbol of science this structure is. I simply loved the Atomium. I hope you guys also loved this structure, and please like, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is simply amazing. The Atomium is not just a simple structure. It is history. It is amazing. It is a brilliant structure. It shows the future. It is very important for our progress, our science, innovation. It depicts a lot of things of the future. The Atomium is not just a small structure. It is amazing. It is a must visit if you are in Belgium. If you are visiting Belgium, you have to watch. You have to go to the Atomium. It is simply superb. Atomium is a symbol for the beginning of the nuclear era. But I hope that there is no requirement of any nuclear energy in this world. Let the world be in peace, not in pieces. Atomium looks like an intergalactic spaceship. What an amazing vision of the future. I really salute the person who has created this. His vision of the future is very, very true. I really love this. What a structure, what a molecular structure. Amazing. This is humanity's incredible creation. Unbelievable. Totally scientific. I love this. And look at this beautiful fountain, which is like complementing the structure. The fountain and the structure both go together. Amazing. I'm just enjoying the moment. I just do not want to leave this place. I'm at full peace. I feel that I have achieved everything when I look at that atomium and the sky. What a connection! What a feeling! So, guys, that was it from the atomium. Now I will be exiting Belgium soon. It was a wonderful experience. I will never ever forget Belgium in my entire life. This is truly a very beautiful country. I've learned a lot. The grand place, the atomium, the amazing history, and the amazing future. It is really, it has got everything. It has got the history, it has got the future. This is very special. I am never going to forget Belgium. This is so special, and Brussels will always be in my heart. I really love Brussels. Now it's time for me to chill for a while. I'll have to leave back. I'll have to go back to my country. I'll miss this place. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Please comment, please like, please subscribe, please share. I am just chilling right now. I had traveled a lot. I'm very tired right now. Thank you for supporting my YouTube channel. I've seen that my videos are being seen internationally. I see that my previous videos were liked by many. So I really thank everyone. Bye bye. Bye guys. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel Girish Chandra Gatkari and click on the notification bell button to get my videos instantly. Please like my video and request you to please share this with your friends and do comment on my video. Thanks for watching guys. Bye bye.